Welcome everybody. So we heard already a lot of talks about engagement and how to emotionally bind your players for your games. So we heard that music is a good way to do it. We heard that videos can help make players find your games and engage them into your games, bring them to your games. And now we have another great speech about how to engage players and how you can best do it. And there are lots of services out there, and there's a new service coming from Scoroid. But before he starts with his speech, please note that at 12 o'clock, at 12 o'clock there's a lunch session, so there's not a lunch break. So we have a great lunch session here, given by Volker Hirsch from RIM. He's the director of mobile games, I think. And he's talking about why BlackBerry is a great platform for gaming, because it's quite easy to get your games on there as well. So please be here for the lunch session as well. It's okay if you grab your food, come back here and eat here, that's totally fine. But now let's come to Almog. Welcome him on stage. So welcome, Almog.
Hi, can you guys hear me? All right. So first, thank you for coming out to my session. And we kind of changed the session last minute. The first session wasn't enough time for what I want to talk about. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how to engage your players directly. There's a lot of great services out there that offer you player acquisition, creating motions. And as game developers, we kind of need to know how to talk to our developers and create campaigns for our developers, more on the marketing side, and we're not really good at that. So before I start, a little bit about myself. So I'm an interactive developer. I did client work. I did a Facebook game for Nokia, a couple touch table games for certain clients. I'm the founder of Scoroid. Before that, I did Almog Designs for my portfolio. I was never a really good indie developer. I don't have my own titles. I was really good at doing like client games. And I'm very active in the community. So I speak at a couple of events, and I run the Adobe user group in Israel. I speak a lot of the Israeli gaming events. And that's pretty much my background. I always think of myself as a game developer. I'm not really a good CEO. I'm kind of trying to find someone to do that for me. And about a year and a half ago, we started Scoroid, which is about kind of helping game developers with the server side, the back end. One of the things that I kind of experienced was really a pain. So I'm just going to basically, the agenda, I'm going to present like why you should engage with your players, some things you can do to engage your players. I'm going to show you guys some retention and stats from Flurry. These are really good stats to help you understand how things work around engagement. And then give you some examples. So Zynga does a really good job of this. Angry Birds also did a really good job of this. I'm going to show you some examples of companies that are doing this and how you can do it. So I was kind of thinking, like, how do I tell people why they should engage with their players? I mean, I'm a game developer. I kind of understand, the importance of developing I love creating great games, but how do you kind of do that? So I was trying to look around, and then I was looking at sessions from different people, and I came across this session from Bit Battlation from Sash, and he kind of says, basically, the success of your first game is your brand. You're creating a brand that game. You're creating a brand around your name. You're creating a brand around you as a developer. So why is it important? Well, first, it's a competitive market, right? There's so many games on iPhone and Android. You're really, really trying to get your games out there. App stores are overcrowded, just like I said earlier. And players are your most powerful asset. So there's a lot of great services out there, and you should definitely use those services if they make sense for you. As a game developer, for your game titles, you should do whatever's best for you. But remember, your player data is your most important thing. Don't give away that player information. You're going to need that for future games. You're going to need that for more acquisition. So why should you engage with your players? What are the values you're going to get out of that? So first, you can create a brand. If they get to know you as a developer or a studio, or as a publisher, or it doesn't really matter. They get to see you for your first game. They'll be interested in other games. You're creating a kind of name for yourself. And this is really done really well in Twitter and social networks. So it's real easy today. If you've seen a lot of indie developers that have a really good social profile, they have a lot of followers that are their players, the ones buying their games. Interaction. So you want to create that interaction with the players. It's important. It's the best way to get feedback. A lot of times when you develop a game, you kind of put on these portal sites to get feedback. Is it working? Is it not working? What do you guys like? By engaging your players when you do another game or the first game, it's real easy to talk to them. It's super cheap, so you're not playing for player acquisition. If you engage with your players, if you have the basic player data, you're not going to pay $1 for each player. You're not going to pay for player acquisition. All these services are really great. You don't have to pay for that though. Social engagement, again, once you create that social engagement, once they get to know you, that brand, they're going to be the ones that are going to actually promote your game on social. They're going to be the ones tweeting about your game. They're going to be the players that are actually, telling your friends about Facebook. So it makes it easier for you to get new players. Retention. So this is important. You want to increase your retention. You're going to get real feedback. This kind of comes down to like an iOS and Android. The most important thing for a game developer is having the ratings. That kind of gets you up in the App Store. So you actually get real feedback about your game, what works and what doesn't work. Again, increase sales, which is kind of, I want to create a promotion. I want to create a sales pitch. I can increase my sales. Cross promotions is what you want to do with a couple games. And there's actually great services that are doing that. And again, better ratings. So, all right. So the first thing you want to do is if you want to engage your players, think outside the box. Right? There's no really set rules. There's no really, I would say, kind of the perfect services out there that can help you talk to your players or get you new players. So you have to think about your games. It also depends really on the type of game you're developing. So if you're developing an action game, an iPhone game, a puzzle game, it can vary between the players. All right, so how are things we can engage with our players? So a newsfeed. So when a player logs into your game, he sees kind of a newsfeed. You can see like information about your game, your site, another game they're doing, or a developer that you're working with is doing another game. And I'll show some example of these. So push notifications, very popular. You have, I think it's Air or something. They do a really good platform to kind of push messages out to your players. And you can also do promotions here. So there's a lot of services coming out that are doing like push promotions, like get 20% off on virtual currency, get $1. These work really well. They really see it. In-game messaging is kind of the same as a newsfeed, but it's more direct inside the game. So you have, like, say, a leaderboard, and then you pop out a message, a personal message. Hey, you just scored X amount, you should do this. So newsletters, so this is kind of old-fashioned, right? But if you're like Angry Birds does this really well. So Angry Birds has like a newsletter sign-up, and they do merchandising. Now, newsletters are really not effective anymore. They're not really, people get them in the inbox and they go to spam. But it is a way to engage with your players. If you have a lot of emails, you can engage with that. The social, so of course Twitter, Facebook, and pretty much everyone knows this already. So SMS is kind of something I put up here that no one's really doing, and no one really knows if it works. So if I send an SMS message to my player, will that work? Will he interested in that? Will that create spam? No one has really done this. There is SMS payments, so you can do like payments, through SMS. We've seen all kinds of services do that, but no one has actually sent any messages through SMS. And SMS is something really interesting because there's a lot of new kind of like the notification bars. Windows 8 has these notification bars in the PC. These are kind of the same thing. These are kind of direct messages that pop out. And then you want to use other players to help you engage. So you can actually, if you have certain players that are very active, you can directly talk with them to help you promote your game. You can provide them, like Amazon gift card. You can provide them like, hey, write a blog post about us or tell your friends about us. And then direct marketing, which is kind of, there's a lot of companies that do direct marketing. This is like the basic marketing stuff. So some best practices of what you think about when you want to do this. So don't spam. I mean, it's really easy to do a lot of like in-game notifications, a lot of push notifications. You don't really want to spam the player. You also want to be direct. You want to find out the profiles of the player. You want to do like segmented marketing. So if you know your players are from Facebook and they're female, you want to target those markets and understand how to talk to them. It's really about timing. So I'm going to go back to the retention and show you the retention charts from Flurry. And you can see it's about timing. It's about really when doing that. Understanding your players. So it's really important to understand who your players are. Are they female? Are they male? Are they kids? What are their engagement? How are they engaging with your game? And what do they think about your game? Are they playing it 10 times a day or are they playing it once a day? Be direct. So you want to be straight. You want to be honest about what you're offering them. If you're doing stuff like email, if you want to capture an email, if you want to capture personal information, you need to ask. These are some like restriction compliance stuff. You don't want to surprise them. Offer rewards. If you're doing promotions, if you offer rewards, it's actually much more effective. So if you say, hey, download this and get, I'll give you an extra level, or I'll give you an extra this, or tweet about this and I'll give you an extra virtual currency, that's much more effective because they're actually getting value, not just from promoting you, but they're actually really getting value from doing it. Again, cross-promote. I always bring this up, and I'll show you some examples of this. And you want to build loyalty with your players. So having like a loyalty, as a developer, as a game, having that loyalty. So Zynga does this kind of really well. I mean, they have really good loyalty with their players, and you see the 2% actually they pay a lot because of that loyalty. So, I mean, in general, you want to go in between rewards and engagement and then understanding the player. There's a little, like, right in there, there's a kind of like the BI, the business intelligence in that point. If you understand that part and you know how to talk to them, it's actually very, very, very effective. And very few companies actually do this, and a lot of indie developers don't even do this at all. It's very hard because you have to have people that understand how to do this. So retention, this is kind of one of the things that, let me see here. So basically when you launch your game, you're gonna have, the first 30 days are gonna be your highest retention rate, right? This is Flurry, so you can download all the Flurry stats. And then every single month, you're gonna start dropping, right? So if you were doing an engagement, let's say on the 8th month, that's really not effective. Very few players are playing your game now, unless your game is like hardcore, mid-core games. Or, it's very popular. So these are depending on the type of game you're developing. So again, so if you look at, like, so these are exactly to look at, so games, productivity, apps, whatnot. This is iOS. And as you see, the first 30 days, you get 72% retention. That's like your most popular. This is from Flurry Stats. So again, and after 60 days, you're dropping down to 23%. Right? So if I do after the 23 days, that's really not really effective. You want to do it right between where it starts to drop off. So again, start with 30 days. You want to increase your retention. So by creating promotions, you're able to kind of create a life cycle and retention. So if you're seeing a drop, that may be a good time to do a new level. Right? That may be a good time to offer a new boost, a new power-up. I think Jetpack, right after 30 days, they started offering new suits. And that really worked really well for them, because people are like, yeah, let's do that. And again, timing is everything. It's all about when to do it. So frequency of use when it comes to gaming. So gamings are actually not really that high as you would think. They're at 7.4 frequency per week. So news are really high, but gaming is 7.4, which means if I want to do a promotion and I'm at my highest retention rate, right? And I know people are playing my game based on, let's say, leaderboard actions or event data, metadata. They're paying it three to four times a day. I should probably figure out what's the best day of the week I should do my promotion and how many times I should do it for that player. And you always want to measure effectiveness. You want to measure if it's working or not. You want to see, did I do this promotion, did it work? Because the only way to really learn, there is no like one out-of-the-box solution. Every game is different. Every game design is different. Every developer is different. So there's really no way like you do this and it's going to work. There's no such thing. You kind of want to try things out, A/B test it, and measure effectiveness, just like you would do with the game mechanics or the game design. And you want to focus on quality. You don't want to do lots of promotions. You want to do a couple good ones that are really effective. And then I'm going to give you a theory about the newsletter thing. So the newsletter ones that everyone's saying that doesn't really work anymore. But let's say I developed a game, and that game had 15,000 players. Which was not really a hit game, it was an okay game. For an indie developer, that's not bad. I mean, that wouldn't be too, it's okay. And then, that game was in there. And then right after that game, I started doing another game, another quick, game. And basically what I want to do is now I want to either send a newsletter or cross-promote in my old game about my new game. So hey, I have a new game coming out. Check it out, right? So let's say we get a 30% exchange rate, which is very, very high and very unlikely. You're talking about like 5% at best, 2% is what everyone talks about. But let's say you're very lucky to get 30% exchange rate because you did it at the perfect timing. Both games are the same genre. It makes sense. The players like both games. They know who you are. And hopefully you will be able to transfer some of those players into your new game, so at least 4,000 into your new game. Now, the reality is it's going to be like 2% or 5%. But if you have 50,000 players or 100,000 players, those 2% for your new game, is very important. It's kind of creating that brand. And that can give you that initial boost, that initial ratings in the App Store, that initial, that initial user base. All right, so showcases. Here we go. I'm not seeing it. So Angry Birds is really good well. So when you play Angry Birds, you can say sign up for our newsletter. So they're asking players to sign up for our newsletter, and they're selling merchandise this way. They're selling, news about them, and they did the new game. So this is kind of just a basic mailing list, right? Very few developers, indie developers are doing this. Very few. And a lot of the publishers are doing this. All the publishers have emailing lists. They have sign up on their websites. It works. You want to capture that email data. It's your data. It's important data. Even if you don't, do anything with that game, it's still you want to have that data. So Jetpack so these are cross promotion. This is really cool. This is one of the things that I really like. If you're working with a bunch of indie developers, or if you're working with other publishers or other studios, help each other out. Players buy more than one game. You're not competing, right? So Jetpack went out there and said, hey, check out this awesome new bomb game from Action Game Monster. Hold on, I read it wrong. Check out the new awesome new bomb tossing action game from Monster Island from our friends at Miniclip, right? So they're promoting inside their game another game. Right? And that kind of helps cross-promotion. So you can do the same thing. Miniclip will do the same thing on their game and help promote the user base. So Zynga has the Zynga inbox. When you play Zynga games like Farmville, they have this inbox. This is in-game messaging, right? So it's basically like a news feed or in-game messaging. So, and look, and kind of they look at the player behavioral data, like what's going on with the player. You have a new message, you have promotion. Now, the future is going to be personalization. The more you we personalize the data around the player and the behavioral is going to be more and more effective. We're seeing like all the big companies right now looking at the big data and trying to create like behavioral data. Google, Microsoft, and it's a matter of time before it hits the gaming. And gaming has you have a lot of information. You can tell like, how much he's playing, how much he's paying, what levels he's playing the most. If it's a game that has like puzzles. So think of this really well. And here's another, so this is another news feed from Zombie Gunship. So here again, it's a basic news feed, and they have a little promotion here. Play Tiny Code and get a free now. And this is kind of, you can also do a lot of things here. A lot of promotions of games, you can monetize this. But it's really kind of just talking to your players and seeing who they are. I always think you should personalize the message. So if a player logged in or created an account in your game, which is another story, you just say hi, his name, and kind of personalize that message. So we have about 3 minutes, I think. So let me wrap this up. So why you should do this again? You really kind of want to do the brand, the sales, value. You want to create that value in your game, and it's actually really cheap. So you send out a newsletter, MailChimp, free. You have SendGrid, not cost you any money. Once you have that data, in-game notifications, a couple of hours of maybe development work, and there's a lot of services that are doing that. And then you have a lot of other tools out there that are offering this stuff. It's not really cost you that much money, like player acquisition. So you want to basically, the animations here are not working as well. So you want to analyze your game stats first. First thing you want to see is, well, how many people are playing my game? Is this game even worth it to do a promotion or not? You want to see, is it, how good is the game? How, do I want to do this? What are my player data? What do I know about them? If you're using like Facebook login, you get so much information. You get like fail email, you get country. So much information you can actually start filtering. Then you want to create your promotion. You want to think about what you want to create. You want to go ahead and do that, choose the right option, and always measure if it's working or not. And hopefully that kind of creates a brand and sales around that promotion around your game. Retention. So retention, again, is very important. There's a lot of tools to do retention. Leaderboards are really big in retention. Game achievements are really big in retention. Engagement kind of goes into retention. Should always think about doing different retention tools, different options for retention. And the engagement tools should actually be a part of the retention. So if you have a leaderboards, you can basically say, hey, you're in the first position. So usually when people play leaderboards, they invest time in that game. They invest time in beating someone's score. They can invest an hour, 20 minutes, or a day trying to get to the top of the leaderboard. So one of the things you can do is, hey, someone just beat you. Someone just took your spot. That person might automatically come back and play again. And that gives you a longer life cycle and better retention. And that's 15 minutes, great. So this is me. I didn't tell you what Score does because it wasn't like a sales pitch. I'm not interested in kind of selling you Score. If you're interested, you go to our website. If you have any questions, send me an email. We're really just about indie developers. We're kind of in stealth mode right now. And if you have any questions, glad to answer them. Questions? No. All right.
No questions in the audience? So, maybe I... Okay.
No, okay. Yeah.
I have one. For you. You were talking about spamming, and that's one important point, I think. So when I do promotion of our games, I think it's really hard to find the right point when it's spamming and when not. So I hate newsletters.
Yeah, this is really
I
bad.
personally hate the Zynga inbox and all this stuff, so I shut it all off.
Right.
So do you have any numbers on that?
So it's really
how many
hard.
people switch it off and
So it's really hard to find the numbers because
okay.
it is working for like Zynga and some of the Big Fish and the publishers. It is working for them, but they have a really huge base. So it's possible that they have like a small percentage. The spamming is probably one of the most important questions. So the things that aren't spammy is news feeds and in-game notifications. Anything else is very spammy. Push, SMS is probably going to be spammy. Newsletters are spammy, but in-game notifications are very spammy. The second thing is rewards. You need to give the value. You need to provide the player value. Right? You shouldn't be like, hey, I have a new game, or hey, you should do this, or hey, tweet about me. Wow, that's great. You're spamming me. I want to play the game. You should be like, hey, I want to give you another level. I want to give you another, 100 coins in virtual currency. I'm going to give you a power up. You want to give them a reward. And the reward system and how you promote is really what's going to make it effective or not effective. And I think I haven't seen too many games that are doing reward systems. So that's one of the best ways to avoid spamming. Second of all, a lot of the services out there let you track the players. So you don't want to do, basically you want to do a promotion per player. So once he sees that promotion, you don't want him to see it again. You actually identify the player. He saw the promotion. You saw it maybe once or twice. Leave him alone. Wait a week. Wait an extra amount of time. Don't do a promotion where every time he logs in, he sees that promotion. That's very spammy. So there are ways to get around that. There are no numbers, but the thing is, you have to remember, if you want to do a big marketing campaign, if you're a publisher, you have money to do marketing, that's fine. If you have money to do player acquisition, that's fine. Don't do promotions. But if you're an indie developer starting out, or if you're doing a game for the first time, or a studio that says, hey, we're not sure about this game, these promotions are really the easiest way to start getting feedback. Even if like 10% turn you off, the 5% that actually look into these and use that promotion will help you understand. Now, a lot of times, you know, if you're not spamming too much and you're not doing crazy things, they're not going to exit the game. You're just not going to pay attention to the promotion, which is not bad. It's fine. You know, they're still playing the game because they like the game. They bought the game. They downloaded the game. They want to try it out. So you have to be very careful. It's a very gray line.
Okay. Thanks, Almog, then.